Welcome to Malifaux University. 502, Core Strategy, Plant Explosives. Before you can play plant explosives, you have to make some bombs. Rather, you need to make some strategy markers that resemble bombs, or otherwise can be distinguished from each crew's regular scheme markers. Each crew needs 5, but it can be useful to make a full set of 10 coded for your crew for reasons we'll explain shortly. These markers have no terrain traits like blocking or impassable, so they can be flat so other models can stand on them if so desired.
For this reason, you may wish to avoid making strategy markers that look like terrain. Easy printable strategy markers are available from the link to Wargames Vault in the notes below.
In the plant explosives description, it says you also need to have explosives tokens that you can place on your models. This is because tokens go on models and markers go on the playing area.
If you want to create separate tokens for the strategy, you may, but you can also get by just fine using your strategy markers as tokens until they are placed on the table. Keep it simple, right?
To set up plant explosives, you set up the game and deploy both crews according to the encounter you and your opponent picked. After deployment, the player with initiative places an explosive token on one of her models. Then, her opponent does the same with one of his, taking turns back and forth until both crews have a total of 5 explosive tokens on their models. Minions can carry only 1 explosive token, while other models can all carry 1 or 2 tokens. This means you will spread your tokens across no fewer than 3 models and across as many as 5. The goal of plant explosives, believe it or not, is to plant explosives.
You want to have as many strategy markers on your opponent's table half as possible while minimizing the number of strategy markers on your half of the playing area.
The only way to do this is with the interact action, so be sure to keep this in mind when hiring your crew before the game. If you hire models that are insignificant or otherwise cannot take the interact action, like Captain Zip, who's got better stuff to do, this will limit your options when trying to score this strategy.
A model carrying explosives tokens can drop a strategy marker simply by taking the interact action. This discards an explosives token and drops the strategy marker into base contact with the model, but the marker may not be within 6 inches of another friendly strategy marker. The rules do not say that the interact action must be friendly controlled, so if you use an obey type action on an enemy model to make it interact and drop a strategy marker, it will be friendly to your crew since you're the one controlling the action, just like if you made it drop a scheme marker. If a model is in a tight spot surrounded by impassable terrain or close to another friendly strategy marker, and there is no legal place to put the strategy marker, the model with the token is not allowed to take this interact action.
If you want to remove a strategy marker, either an enemy marker or one of your own, a model in base contact with the strategy marker takes the interact action, removes the marker, and gains an explosive token. This is why you may wish to create a full set of 10 strategy markers coded for your crew. Once you pick it up, the explosive is yours, and when you drop it again, it is friendly to your crew, not your opponent's. Though each player starts with 5, you could potentially end up with several more explosive tokens and/or strategy markers. If you simply pick up and reuse your opponent's markers, that could easily lead to confusion later when you drop them, since you can't drop friendly markers within 6 inches of each other. Another way to gain explosive tokens is to kill a model carrying them. Be careful though, it doesn't matter who kills the model with the tokens, only the opposing crew can collect the tokens from the dead model. So if it's your model that is killed and you have another friendly model right next to the slain model, you still cannot gain his tokens. A single enemy model within 3 inches of the dead model when it is killed may collect the tokens it was carrying. If the enemy model does not collect them, or if there is not an enemy model within 3 inches of the slain model, the explosive tokens are simply discarded and removed from the game. While no model may have more than 2 explosive tokens at the start of the game, you can pick up as many as you want during the game. Be careful of the timing in dropping your strategy markers. If you drop several early in the game, this gives your opponent time to run over and pick them up. Then you have to either kill those models up close to get the explosives back, or pick up your enemy's strategy markers and drop them all over again. If you wait too long, your models with the tokens may be killed or engaged, and lose the chance to drop strategy markers. At the end of each turn, a crew gets 1 victory point if there are more strategy markers on the enemy half of the playing area than it has scored VP for this strategy. It doesn't matter if they are friendly or enemy strategy markers. All that matters is which half of the table has them. To score the first point, there needs to be just 1 strategy marker on the enemy table half. To score a second point, there needs to be at least 2 markers on the enemy half at the end of a turn, and so on. You do not remove the markers to score at the end of the turn, and no matter how many markers there are, you never score more than 1 victory point in any turn. If any strategy markers are dropped on the center line, they count as being in both table halves, so would count for both crews scoring. Let's see this in action. Zoraida's Swamp Fiends are tangling with Dashelbarker's Guard crew. Zoraida already has 1 point from plant explosives from last turn, and Dashel has none. His crew has successfully dropped 1 strategy marker on Zoraida's half of the playing area and is looking forward to scoring the point. The strategy marker Zoraida used to score last turn is still there, but she must have 2 to score again.
She's the last to activate, so she walks over to the enemy strategy marker and takes the interact action to pick it up, robbing Dashelbarker of the point he would have gained.
She then casts Obey on the guard patrol, who is still on his own half of the table. Cards are flipped and he fails to resist. Zoraida has the guard take the interact action, discarding her own explosive token and dropping a Bayou-friendly strategy marker into base contact, since markers dropped are friendly to the crew controlling the action.
The other Bayou strategy marker is more than 6 inches away, so it's not a problem.
There are 2 strategy markers on the enemy table half at the end of the turn, so Zoraida gets another point while Dashel still has none.
Remember that summoned models don't count for friendly schemes or strategies and cannot take the interact action for the turn they are summoned, and can never interact with strategy markers. Obviously, summoned models won't have any explosives tokens when they first enter the game, but if a summoned model receives explosives tokens from a slain enemy model, that summoned model won't be able to interact to drop them since these are for strategy markers. If a summoned model is the only one available to receive explosives tokens this way, you may prefer to just let the tokens be discarded from the game.
That's the core rules Plant Explosives strategy. Pick up a printable set of all the markers and tokens you need to play Malifaux in the Wargames Vault. If you haven't already, join our Patreon for early, ad-free access to all new content, and be sure to visit the Malifaux University gift shop for the latest in Malifaux-themed shirts, hoodies, drinkware, and more. Links are in the notes below. And remember, play friendly games, keep it simple, and have fun.